going to be Executive Assistant Chief, like I said before, Executive Assistant Chief Jeff Carroll, and we're only talking about this incident here today, nothing else besides this.
Is there something else? Pull that privacy tape down. Is there something else we should be aware of?
Nope.
No. That's better. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Jeffrey Carroll, the Executive Assistant Chief here at the Metropolitan Police Department in Washington, D.C. I'm here this evening to talk about a very tragic incident that occurred. At approximately 5:40 this evening, members of our Violent Crime Suppression Division were here in the 4500 block of Carroll Street, where they observed a suspicious vehicle stop and an individual exit that vehicle. As officers went to contact and investigate that individual, he then ran from the area and jumped on 295 southbound, the roadway, where officers observed him place a firearm inside of the storm drain. Officers attempted to stop and further investigate that individual who placed that firearm in the storm drain, but unfortunately he was able to flee the area on the back of a motorcycle. We are attempting to locate that suspect. He is described as a black male with long dreads, wearing a white shirt and light-colored blue shorts that was seen fleeing from the area. A short time later, additional officers from our Violent Crime Suppression Division were here in the area attempting to recover that firearm from the storm drain on 295. One of our officers, a crime scene search officer, to recover that evidence. During the process of recovering the firearm from the drain, the firearm went off, striking that officer. The other officers that were here on the scene with him immediately began to render first aid. The officer was transported by helicopter from the scene here to a local hospital where he's currently receiving treatment at this time. As I said, this is a very tragic circumstance. Our heart goes out to the other officers of the Metropolitan Police Department who go out here day in and day out, putting their lives on the line, and the family of this officer who was injured in this incident. Shortly thereafter this press conference, we will be releasing images of the individual who was observed placing the firearm in the storm drain. We would ask the public, if they are able to help us identify that individual, to contact the Metropolitan Police Department at our Real-Time Crime Center at 202-727-9099. At this time, I'll take any questions that you may have.
Do you know the current condition of that officer?
Yeah, currently the officer is receiving treatment at the local hospital. We don't have anything right now more than that.
Jeff, is it a crime scene officer or one of the detectives, part of that suppression unit who shot?
Sure, so it is a police officer who is assigned to the Violent Crime Suppression Division, but he is trained to be a crime scene search officer. He is trained to recover evidence and firearms.
Could you go through the events that led to the person fleeing and overtime?
Sure. So the officers observed a vehicle that was stopped inside the 4500 block of Carroll Street in the alley. They observed an individual exit that vehicle. When the officers went up to try to contact and interview that individual, they ran from the officers. The officers followed after, and he actually jumped from the service road area here onto the roadway of 295 southbound, the main roadway. When he jumped down, the officers were able to see him place a firearm in that storm drain that we talked about. He then ran in the roadway away from the officers and actually got into northbound 295, where he was able to get on the back of a motorcycle that was in traffic, and he left the area on the back of that motorcycle.
Can you describe the situation with the officer recovering that weapon? Was the officer fully down into the storm drain, reaching? Do you have any idea of that setup?
That's all going to be part of the investigation. We do know at this point he was attempting to retrieve the firearm, but obviously in a situation like this, our Internal Affairs Division will come out to investigate the discharge of the firearm, as it is evidence that was being recovered. Additionally, our detectives will investigate the individual who placed the firearm inside of the storm drain and try to identify him. We do have a lot of our law enforcement partners here from both Maryland and our federal law enforcement partners. The ATF will help to process that firearm once it's recovered by DFS. Our law enforcement partners in Maryland are also assisting with traffic as it comes into the District of Columbia while we continue the process that's seen here.
Can you say where the officer was shot, or did the gun just go off one time, multiple?
Sure. So right now the exact number of times we don't know. That will be part of the investigation. We do know he was struck at least one time. The exact location, I'm not 100% sure. It's somewhere in the upper body area.
And can you say what was suspicious about?
Was he shot in the head?
The initial information we get is somewhere in the upper body area. The exact location I don't know.
Are the injuries believed to be life-threatening?
At this time, he's still receiving treatment at the hospital. The specific nature, I can't say to. We don't have that right now.
Describe the effort from the other officers who were, I believe, instrumental in helping to save that officer.
Sure. I mean, so as soon as it happened, obviously the officers were not expecting that, but our officers carry TECC, the emergency tech kits that have clotting materials in there, tourniquets, things like that. So they immediately placed on gloves and beginning rendered aid. They also notified DC Fire, and our helicopter Falcon responded over here. The officers were able to quickly get him transported to the helicopter to fly him to the hospital as fast as possible. I know you had a question.
Hey, Jeff, two things about the guy going out on the highway. Was he lucky he, first of all, didn't get hit by a car? Secondly, I don't know what you call it when you carjack a motorcycle. He didn't know the person on the motorcycle. He just commandeered it with someone?
Yeah, we have no indication that he knew the person, the motorcycle he got on the back of. We do know that he ran in the roadway in the southbound lanes and then actually climbed there's a gap in the fence between the southbound and northbound lanes and got on the northbound side and jumped on the back of the motorcycle. There's no indication that he knows the person. However, that will be part of the investigation to determine if that is the case or not.
But the person on the motorcycle took him? Like they were still, he didn't throw the person off and take the motorcycle.
Again, we're very preliminary in the investigation. We know that the motorcycle left and he was on the back of it. What the relationship was, or was it willing or not, or did the person even know? Maybe speculation is out there, so I can't really get into that until we have more information. I don't want to speculate.
You guys said you were investigating because he looked suspicious or tried to stop him. What specifically about what this person was doing made him
Sure.
suspicious?
I mean, we're an hour into the investigation, so all that'll be part of the overall investigation into the firearm. But at this point, we don't have those kind of specifics out there. All the officers will have to be interviewed and evidence as far as video and things like that. So it's very early in the investigation.
Can you tell us how long the officer's been with the department and how long he's been in this specifically?
Sure. So I can give you an estimate. He's been on the police department over 25 years. He has been assigned to our violent crime suppression division somewhere in the area of 15 years or so. So he's been there for a long time.
Chief, there was a moped crash nearby. Any involvement? Do you believe this person's now running?
At this time, we don't have any sort of indication that they are connected, but again, this is very preliminary inside the nature now, so we don't have any information on that. All right. I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you.